I'm going to try this again. Yeah, this is made me want to just blow up Tabletop Simulator. So, but that's what this is. It seems to be working, but I'll check in a minute and we'll see if it's locked up. It looks like this not because my computer's a piece of shit, but because if I don't have it set to really low settings, it doesn't seem to want to stream, and it just locks up, and OBS blows up. And this is something that happened when Microsoft released the anniversary update, and there hasn't been a new version of OBS, I guess, to fix some VRAM issues. So I'm hoping this will fix it, and we'll see. In any case, so I posted a post called "Fixing Randomization," and it was a couple hours of my time, right? And I said, "Here's a way that you can fix randomization." And Sandworm asked me to explain better with actual units, right? Instead of just saying stuff, like 5 versus 3. So I said, sure, I would be glad to. So if you look, now this is not a regular table, obviously, but I've got 3 predators, 2 land speeders, 3 dreads. There's a bike librarian, a bike unit, right? Assault marine unit, a tactical unit. Excuse me. An assault marine unit. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Right? So there's 12 units. So, but in theory, this could be 13, right? So, and since, characters, whatever, minor, I want to say, hey, that's what it is. It's 13 units. Okay. If it was with this guy, if this guy was here, it would, basically at the start of the turn, it would be 12 units. Okay. So these dice are for this side, and over here is Reaver Titan, and he's got 1 dice. Okay. That should be a 3. So this is just theory crafting, redesigning 40K because it's 100 dice a turn game. It's based entirely on Alpha Strike, and it's not really fun. Games Workshop is something that I would like to be able to support. They seem unable to design games, so I will help them. And note, I'm not a game designer. I'm just a fan. Of course, you could say I was a game designer, but for now, we'll just say that I'm not. Okay. The reason I keep changing it, like rotating view, is to make sure that I can actually, that fucking OBS hasn't locked up. It looks like it's stable, but anyway. So here's the idea. Dice randomization is bad. Okay. Especially when you end up rolling tons of dice. We want to avoid having to roll tons of dice. So, and this is just an example. This is not actually how I would specifically make a different game, right? This is just putting this out there for people to think, oh, okay, there's an option, right? So you let's see, did that lock it up? Because I don't know why it's doing that. No, okay. So you have X number of units in your army. Every unit gets assigned a die, right? The dice get generated at the start of the turn. The way you generate them is you figure out how many units you have in your army at the start of the turn, at the start of the game turn, not the player turn. Okay, so this will last for the entire turn until the next turn. So let's say nothing happens, everybody just passes, right? Turn 1 passes, and this librarian's over here. It would then have a pool of 12 dice because there would be 12 actual units. But at the start of the game, this librarian, let's say he's hiding, right? Rah, you can't see me. Hiding behind the predator. Okay. Um, so the predator is hiding him, and so there's 13 units on the table. Okay. So you would need to assign to each unit one of these dice. Now I made them big. Okay, I didn't really need to, but I wanted to make them big so that I could explain this to you. So I'm going to assign stuff to individual units. Okay. Now there's an extra die. This should be a 3 or a 4. It's your choice. Okay, because the way that it works is you have 13 units on the table. Every unit is going to get a different die. Okay, each one of these is your pool. Now you start at 3 and 4. Okay, and as you fill up, you have to fill up an entire slot, right? So it's 1 through 6 is what you have to fill up. And I'll explain what the numbers mean in a minute. But basically, you have 3 and 4, and you go, I want to, as time comes up, you go, this is not there, right? So I will, let's reset it to 1. Okay, so I'm filling up, I filled up my first rank, right? So I've got 6. So you just add dice to the end. Okay, so 3, 4, you start wherever you want, and then you go, I'll take a 5, I'll take a 2, I'll take a 1, I'll take a 6. And that's it. That's your maximum numbers right there. Then you have 3 and 4. You go, I have more units. Okay, so these are my dice that I have to assign. It's obvious I've got to assign these. You can't add another one to a stack, right? You can't slot it in until you actually fill it. Okay. Now, if you have an odd number, and so there's 8 right here, and I had 9 units, I could choose a 2, drop it in, and then assign them to the units. Or I could say, no, I want a 5 instead. I want a 5 this turn. Okay. And have a 5 and then assign them out. Now, since we have 13 units, I'll go, okay, I can't assign the 6 because I don't have a 2 yet. So I'll go put in a 2. There's a 2. And then I have a 6, and then I have a 1. Okay, now you always have to start at 3 or 4. Okay, if you only have 1, you get to choose. If there was 14 units, then obviously you would have a 4 and a 3. Okay. If you had 15 units, you would then choose if you want to have a 5 or a 2. If you had 16 units, you'd have to have a 5 and a 2. You can't go this way. Like you can't go 3, 4, 5, 6. You have to go 3, 4, then 5, 2, and then you get the extremes, the 1 and the 6, right? So I choose a 4. Okay, I could just easily choose a 3. I can just say, you know what, I'm going to go with a 3. Okay. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to figure out what these are for. Now, when you're rolling to hit and destroy the enemy, and there's going to be modifiers. Basically, you have a lot of shooting, you're going to have more modifiers to a dice roll. And so that's why it can't just be like a single d6. It's got to be a d10 or 2d6, 2d10. It's got to be something like that so that you can have the modifiers go up and down. You also want to include, options like, let's make sure that's still okay. You want to have options like terrain modifiers. There's so much terrain, what kind of terrain there is, special rules, and move the modifiers up and down on your dice roll. But in this system, it's whatever your dice, you roll a d6, okay, and you add the number that you have, all right, to your dice roll, and you're the attacker. So you roll. The defender then rolls. Okay, and part of the reason that you do that is you want players to actually be able to interact in your goddamn game. Now you can go back and forth. You can you should really do unit by unit, right? You go, this unit moves. I resolve the unit. Okay, and then the easiest thing to do is take the dice away, right? But combat is you want to get equal to or under the enemy dice roll. Okay, so I'll explain that in a second. So let's take some ones. So I have 2 ones, and I'll assign them here and here. Okay. I've got these assault marines, and I'm going to give them a 6, and I'm going to give them a 6. Okay. Now I've got these attack bikes in 2 different units, so I'm going to give them a 5. All right. So there's one, and he gets 1. Obviously, you want them to be smaller so you can tell where the hell they are. So the dreadnoughts, there's 3 dreadnoughts, so I'm going to give them 3 because they're shooty units. Okay. And then the typhoons, I will give them 2s. And this predator will get a 4, and that tactical squad will get a 4. Now, as this guy, so you can have a 3 or a 4, right? Those are your options. So we'll choose a 3, and we'll assign it to the Reaver Titan. Okay, so he's got a 3. So it seems complicated, but it really isn't, because you'll then be rolling, whatever your actual combat dice are, you'll just be rolling them with, these are your base modifiers. Okay, so let's say there's no cover. All right, but but this thing says if it's an infantry unit and not a tank unit or walker, it's -2 to your roll. In other words, I don't fear no infantry, right? So all these other things would roll on their face value, and these would roll on not on their face value. So in this system, less is firepower. So the lower the result is firepower. And the higher result means you're more mobile, but you do less damage. Your damage potential is less. So this is a super heavy, so it'd just be like he'll just move 3. Okay. The tactical squad will move 3. The vehicles, like these ones, they can move that inch. In this case 4 inches. Just because he got the 4. All right. These tactical guys could move 4 inches. All right, and you can still shoot. All right. This is a key thing that's missing in lots of games is the ability to move and shoot. All right. So these guys could move 6, except they're assault marines, so they get double move. So they can go 12. Right. Now you'd have to imagine that ranges will be a bit shorter, right? Because they need to be. You shouldn't be shooting across the board unless you have a lot of negative modifiers for doing so, like what range bands you might have. Like Flames of War has that mechanic. Okay, 40k does not. Flames of War it's too far. Okay, there's other games that have like Firestorm Armada that have multiple range bands. And let's just say if you're every 6 inches is a range band, and the max range you're going to have is 36 inches, but at 36 inches you're going to be -6. Okay. So at -6, you're going to have a hard time destroying anything. Now, these assault marines, they obviously are not going to be having a great modifier because they have +6. So you have to think of it as these, we'll take these guys because there's less of them. So these guys jump up here. Okay, this guy moves up. Okay, he moves up a little bit. So these guys are going to run into assault him. All right. So because I want to give you an example. So these guys are faster, right? And the reason that this is more balanced is they only have average rolls. They don't have extremes. Okay. So assuming those guys could drag themselves into range, um, you know, a vehicle could go faster. Like this, the skimmer would probably go 4. Okay. Um, the tank might have an option to be able to go faster. Um, you never know. You have to actually flush out the entire system, figure out what you want to do, and then figure out how you're going to do it. Where these dreadnoughts are going to move it 3, right? So they're going to move up and shoot. But these guys, oh, that poor bastard. These guys are going to run in and assault this. Okay, I'm not going to move them any further. I just want to show you the difference here. So, um, this is the base modifier. So let's say you're both rolling, say a d10, okay, and you both get a 5. So they're going to attack that. All right. You need to equal or go under, not equal or beat. You need to go under the opponent's roll. So if they're the attacker, he's the defender. Even if you have an like a defensive fire sort of mechanic, okay, before you could assault, this is still the attacking unit because the whoever's moving a unit, whoever's going first, not necessarily going first, but going first in that player turn and has basically control. He's the attacker, always the attacker. Okay, so the attacker can't be destroyed, right? He's going to do his thing, and I'm just using it as an example. Okay, in reality, he could actually be destroyed. Um, but let's say there's a different initiative step, okay, and they come in and they swing first, and then he does his thing, because he's big and slow, right? So they get to come in and do their thing. If you roll 5, well, they're going to have an 11. These guys will have an 11, and this guy will have an 8. Okay, so because your modifier is +6. His modifier is only +3. So the effective difference between an average unit and a fast moving but not quite as capable unit is you have a +3 basically to your defense, right? This is your defense. Because everybody's going to roll the same number of dice and just check and just say, hey, did I beat you? So let me grab some dice. That's the wrong place. Sorry. Objects. Chest and then dice. And we'll pull out some plastic dice. Okay. So we'll pull out red and blue. And then hopefully, yeah. So, oops, you stay right there. It's tall. Oh, I hit it with my arm. Sorry. Okay, so I've got blue, and I have another blue, and I have another red. Okay, so I roll my dice, and then I roll my dice. Okay, now I'm gonna cheat. I'm gonna roll this until I get what I want, or I'll just. I got a 6. Hey, it's amazing. Okay, so 6 plus 6 is 18. So 9 plus 3, or sorry, my brain's fried, obviously. 6 plus 6 is 12. Oh, 6 plus 3 plus 3 is 12. So they at least equal it, right? So you got a bit of a high roll. They got an average roll. They at least equaled it. So they can force it to take a morale check. Okay. Now, that's all and good, but let's say vehicles don't take morale checks. Okay. Or it's got leadership 11. Okay, and leadership 11 is okay on something like this. Like you need to roll boxcars because even if you make it run, it's not going to actually run away, right? It's not like, oh, there's people assaulting me. It'll take an adverse result. And you could do things like you can roll on a damage table. You can say it's shocked, it's stunned, its crew is shaken, and won't shoot at somebody else on the board um, until these guys are dead, right? So those are the rules, and basically nothing will happen. Okay. Now let's say this is a 1. Okay, so we have a 9, right? And then this right here is still 12. All right. So that's beat by 3, so that's just additional morale checks. Okay. However, let's say this is a 4. All right. So now they're beaten by 4. So you're starting to get into, like I'm doing damage realm. So it'd be a reduction times 1. Now, a reduction times 1 on, say, a squad like this might kill 5 guys. Okay. Might just be like, oh damn, but that's as you can see, that's a harsh result. Okay. But you actually have to have the weapons to do it. Okay, these guys all have melted bombs. There's special rules to try and stop them from getting in and doing their damage. And okay, not everybody's going to be a Luke Skywalker cutting open a hatch and throwing in a melted bomb and blowing up a war machine. But something like this is a Predator with auto las. That'd be much more capable of dealing damage against that. And it has a 1. Okay. Note that's because this guy only has one thing in his army, or one thing left, whichever way you want to put it. He can only get a 3 or a 4. So the other guy, as long as he's got a few more units, as long as he's got 6 units, he's always going to have somebody with a 1. Okay. And he's always going to have somebody who he can go, you're fast today, right? And make them run up there. So, but with this, it would be a reduction, and it might be a weapon is destroyed. The vehicle's immobilized. There's all kinds of things you can do. Reduction 2 would essentially be you reduce from a full squad to a half squad, and reduction 2 is you buy in like half squad increments, right? In 40K, that's generally what you get. So you start with 5 Space Marines, you go up to 10. Let's say you're the old style chaos, you go up to 20. Okay, well, there's 4 half squads. So reduction times 2 would kill two 10-man Space Marine squads, right? And the way that you could make these modifiers work is you go, they have melted bombs, so they might roll a 3, but against vehicles, right? They've got +2 because they're all equipped with melted bombs. Okay, that would then, it would effectively be a -2, right? So that would reduce the result of that. So there's ways you can make those modifiers work in the game, so you can go, okay, my ultimate modifier is a 27, and it's like, yep, and I stacked all the defense, and I got a 22. Oh, okay, all my guys are dead, right? Now, if it's something like this, okay, let's say that your anti-infantry firepower is pretty shitty. Your anti-tank firepower is good. Okay, then instead of when you do a reduction 1, okay, you're firing a couple of missiles and a multi-melt at somebody. And I remember you got to abstract this stuff so that the game freaking continues playing. But you don't have silly results where you bring something that can actually deal damage to this because of its weapons. This is an anti-vehicle tank, right? This is a multi-melta. But like you could be like, oh, this is missile launcher las cannon, right? And so it's similar to that. But when you fire at infantry, you're not very effective. Okay, so you still have your same kind of firepower, but you're not gonna actually reduce an infantry squad because it's not an anti-infantry weapon. It's not a heavy bolter or or whatever, right? Or an assault cannon, say. Um, the strength's too high, but basically when you get that reduction one, um, they would still have to take the above tests, which would be they would have to take the worst of the morale tests, which in this case would be 3 morale checks times 3, or or sorry, 3 morale checks at -2. So there's a good chance they're going to run, but that's okay because you'd want to have leadership to make it so that you could rally or use the leadership and embedded in the squad, or simply be fearless, and go, I don't care about that. I'll just lose a guy, right? Because you have to have a penalty for people who are fucking fearless if you're going to have morale. Like if you're going to break the game that bad, you need to be able to go, oh well, morale actually matters, because if morale doesn't matter, like this guy's like, I'm not scared of you. Like he's not going to run away because it's silly for that guy to run away. But he may become completely ineffective as a result, just like the crew in there might be completely ineffective if somebody's sitting next to it throwing melta bombs at it. Because that's, anti-tank weapons at point blank range on tanks are terrifying for tank crews. They might not run away. Now, if these were in a squadron and he plinked one of them away, oh yeah, then the other two might run away because the appropriate weaponry, anti-tank, was used against their vehicle type, tank, or vehicle. Anti-vehicle was used against anti-vehicle. Anti-infantry used against anti-infantry should trigger those kind of morale checks. Okay. In any case, now let's say that one unit ran up, it did its business, it got a good roll, he got a bad roll, because obviously 5 versus 10, with these kind of modifiers. He's like, oh, okay, well then he would go, all right. So he's the attacker now, all right. So we'll roll here, and I'll get 5, and then he'll roll. Of course, I would get an awesome roll, and we'll cheat. Okay, so he's got stomp. Okay, just like melta bombs, except it works against infantry, and it gives you +2. So that would become a 4, right? It's +2 against infantry. It doesn't work against other things. It would work against a walker unless it was a similarly sized walker. Like if it was smaller, so this is huge, and these are, medium, and like the Imperial Guard walkers would be small, right? The Grout walkers would be small, and the Orc walkers, the real ones would be medium, just like the Space Marine ones. And so it would work against that, but against another Titan, it wouldn't do shit. It'd be like, oh, you're also huge. Okay, against a monstrous creature or something. Yeah, he could stomp it. Oh, it's a gargantuan creature. Oh, nope, doesn't work. Even if it's a small one and he's a huge, like he's huge Titan, huge super heavy walker. It doesn't matter. He wouldn't be able to stomp it. So he gets the bonus on his roll, right? And I did that wrong. So that's correct, because of course you want to roll under it, right? So that would give them a 6. Uh-oh. So that means he's got a 6. All right. So you would take your reductions first. All right. Okay, they're dead. Because his average is much better than, like he took a 3 because it's slower, but he doesn't care. He doesn't care that he's slow, right? He took the most defensive he could take in his army composition, which is he has 1 fucking dice. He took a 3. Okay. These guys, their job is to run forward, so they took the 6, just like these guys took the 6. This squad that loses 5 guys from the first reduction because its maximum squad size is 10, right? Except you want to be a little more forgiving and say, you know what, you lose half your guys rounded up. Okay, so a reduction scales properly. So let's say you have a unit of 3 to 6. Okay, Thunderbolts or something. You don't want to just go, well, they're all dead because I got a reduction on them, and you lose 5 guys. It's like, no, you lose half of your guys rounded up. So on a squad of 10, half your guys rounded up is 5 guys die. Okay, it could be the exact same shot, but remember it's an abstraction, and it's designed to keep your army intact, so you can continue to do things and not just get what the fuck owned because somebody's got a Titan on the other side and they decide to annihilate all your infantry and all of your shit at once. Because normally this is just dead, right? That which is silly. Um, so two guys would die, right? It would be flip, yeah, sure, flip. Two guys would die, right? But it's rounded up, so a third guy would die. So there you go. And then the other one goes, oh well, how do I deal with that? Because that half a squad, it started as half a squad. You know, if it's always half rounded up, then nobody ever does it. It's like, yes, the first one that you take in any particular shooting phase would do that. Okay. If you can't lose it that many, like if you lose no guys, it's changed to a reduced one as if the wrong weapon type hits you. So you're just dead. If you have one guy left, you're just dead. Right. However, they got hit by two reduction results. So it would go that guy's dead and that guy's dead, right? No, it's F. Okay. So they would just instantly be dead because they got two reduction results because they don't have the ability to take additional damage, right? And obviously his weapons, he's geared to kill heavily armored infantry, right? Higher rate of fire weapons would be better against less armored infantry and not as quite as many. Of course, in 40k, it doesn't really matter because you just go, well, I'll just roll 120 dice and 110 dice, and that's the end of it. You you fire all these shots, and well, all these guys just die because you shot all this shit at them. You roll 20 dice on these fucking guys. Okay, they're all dead. You know, and that's not a fun game to play. Um, It's not so bad when it's five guys and the entire other army shoots. It's bad when it's one dude on the other side shoots at one of your squads and evaporates it. Because then the game goes, well, I have 6 units. I delete 6 units of yours. What have you got left? Okay, your army doesn't do that, and you damage two of my units, or maybe you kill one and damage two because you didn't get lucky. Then what? Okay, then my next turn, assuming I can still return fire with 5 of those units, I then delete 5 of your units, right? Or let's say 4. Well, that's just a lot of damage that's coming in. It just annihilates people's will to live. Okay, that's really what it does. So this would not be an initiative-based system. It could be to say not only are you faster, but you go first. Okay, or you have to be moved first because they're faster. And so it lets you maneuver first, and then your slower fire support goes off, right? And you could totally do that. You could do it the other way. You could say they move first, but really want to resolve everything, right? You go they move first, and then those guys have to shoot. There's lots of different ways you could do it, but I'd rather not complicate it. I'd rather go these guys are gonna do their bit, okay? Um, Now let's say you want to do a multiple assault, okay? And well, those guys all move at different ranges. If you have different initiatives, then you also have to consider, oh, they all need to be on the 5-step, right? You go, oh, I want to have him and him be together, so they can go 10 because they move double the distance on the dice. So you go, boop, they move 10, right? And then they can assault. But if it's initiative, then it's like, oh, not only that, but my leader and them have to be on initiative 5, and that actually I think constricts people's play, because if your leader is a shooty leader and he's just going in with these guys who are not planning on shooting, they're just going to assault because they have melted bombs and they can finish off this guy because he's whatever, he's already weakened. That would be a way that you could do it, but it's not. I don't think that it's the way that you need to do it. So in any case, uh, if these guys got let's say they got that lucky roll. okay, and this was an average roll, right? So even though he's got +2, okay, right? So he's got +2, so that would reduce that, right? That'd still just be equal, okay? So a little bit below average, crazy good luck, okay? It'll be equal, so they would just have a morale check, okay? He didn't do very good. But the odds of that are not very good. The odds of that happening are not very good. Now, I did not forget that, oh, these guys have melta bombs, so they would actually not have those dice, like they would not have that result, and it would just be a 6, right? So that would mean that he did not beat their roll. The defender doesn't beat his roll, okay, because they're the defender now. The defender doesn't do any damage to the attacker. It just means they don't suffer morale checks, they don't suffer reduction. Nothing bad happened to them when the attacker fired, because these two things are happening simultaneously, right? They're just going, oh yeah, they're just happening at the same time. He could be so good that he's able to stomp them, right? Do his stomp attack on them, and also shoot that unit and that unit. Okay, shoot the tacticals and shoot the other assault marines. Um, then the tanks would come in and go, I'm going to shoot you. Okay, now maybe they can actually go 2 inches. They're allowed to go double. These guys can go double and fire, or they can go, say, triple or quadruple even, and they can't fire. Okay. And that would just be they can go super speed, right? They're skimmers, so they could do that. They can go, I'm gonna fucking fly this guy. I can't even select him. There you go. I'm gonna fly that guy. Bam! Way over here. Now, do I need to do that? No, but let's say I want to do it. Okay, I'm gonna move him over here. He can't do anything, right? And then I just take his dice and throw it on the side, right? He's done. That's all he's doing. He's just super speeding. He's got a cover or an invulnerable save from going super fast. He's setting up for next turn, right? And next turn, I'm going to assign him a 1. Okay. And then I'm going to blow that guy up. So the basics that people are used to still function. Okay. But instead of, sorry, keeping track of all these different special rules and what they do or do not do for you, all these things that break the rules, you can get rid of them. Okay, go, don't break the rules. These are the basic rules. This is how far you move. This is how fast you move. This is your save. And you can compare your AP value. So in close combat, the stomp means you don't have any armor save unless you have an invulnerable save. Okay, and then you just get whatever your invulnerable save. That would be a modifier to your roll. You go, no, you can't negate my save. The save that I have, because let's say those assault marines are terminators and they all have storm shields. Okay, so they have a 3+ save and you can't negate it. Okay, so your AP is effectively negated. So they would have a +4 to their saves, right? So that would be a modifier in their favor. Okay. Oh, he has an invulnerable save too. Okay, so in close combat, he's got an invulnerable save. He has a 4-up. So the Terminators only have a difference of 1. All right. So even though you'd add up all these modifiers, you would just go, here's my list of modifiers. You don't have an AP value against me. And it's a rare thing because not everybody's got it, freaking storm shields. But he would have a save against his shooting, and it would just be, well, your AP is effectively nil. You don't get an AP value against my armor because I have an invulnerable save. Or you just negate that mechanic entirely and just go for every pip of invulnerable save you get that added. So like Gazgul on his crazy turn would be like, okay, look, I got a 2+. So he would have +5 to his defense. So if he's got a 1, not only is his firepower, his capabilities of killing you better, he's slow, but if it's also his special ability is in this turn he gets this, then it also happens to be when you shoot at him, he's going to give you a 5, right? That's what he's going to give you on your modifiers, just straight up a 5. Now, if you have someone to negate it or you have a whole bunch of your own modifiers, it's like, oh yeah, you have all that, but oh yeah, I'm firing 25 anti-vehicle shots at you. Yeah, that would probably count for something, right? So I don't even know what this stupid thing has on it, and I don't really care. It's goofy. I've always thought that it was goofy. Just like, all right, missile launcher and two guns, probably one anti-tank, one anti-infantry. That's what it looks like. The model resolutions are very good, and I'm not gonna freaking go look it up. But yeah, but if you have like, he's a super heavy walker, he's got a anti-infantry gun, and then anti-tank guns. What you do is you'd fire everything at one if you want to, or you say, I'm going to fire this at these guys, and this is my anti-infantry firepower. My anti-tank firepower is going over here, so the tank doesn't get to go. Oh well, I'm armored. I've got a lot of armor, and you don't beat my armor, so I get those bonuses, right? And that's how you would incorporate all of the dizzying array of rules that Games Workshop has created. Psychic powers you can easily, fix, like invisibility. It's a stupid rule. It's it because they fucked up. They don't know how to do the law of unintended consequences. They just make mistakes left and right. Okay, how do we sell stuff? All right, we're not selling things the way we needed to. Let's make something that's immune to all the stuff that we just sold. That's always their problem. They sell you something that's immune to the last thing they just sold you. Well, people don't want that anymore. They want a game system that actually works. Go, I would like to at least be able to bring something, and players complain when it's like, why can't you just make it so it's balanced so that I have a choice in what I buy and I can buy what I want. Now, that doesn't necessarily have to mean that, like, these guys, if you had 90 of them, would be as effective as this. Oh, excuse me. It wouldn't mean that. Okay, even if their points value were the same, it might not mean that they're as effective. It might mean that over time there might be 6 tactical squad guys left, and the Titan's a pile of junk because he didn't kill enough guys, right? He just wasn't able to kill them fast enough because there's so fucking many of them. If you're a fluff person, you'd realize that that's probably a net loss for the Imperium. Lost 90 Space Marines. That takes 9,000 man years to make that many. Fuck. A Reaver Titan, that's 100 years. It's a loss. Especially since there's just some shitty, traitor humans with their brains ripped out and, cybernetics plugged in running that shit anyway. So, but if you see where I'm going, there's ways to improve the game dramatically and just say, these are the modifiers that I have because I have invisibility. Well, what does that do? It makes me hard to hit. Okay. Well, I can deal with hard to hit. I have a lot of shots. It's basically I have a lot of modifiers, right? And that's what those would be. Shots would be modifiers. Your strength versus their toughness would be a modifier. Their defensive bonus, it would be like, oh, they are in hard cover. Oh, that's -4. Like that's what that spell does. Oh yeah, instead of some bullshit, you just say, oh no, they're in hard cover. So it treats they're so hard to find. It treats them as if they were in a hardened super bunker. Oh, wow. Okay then. Um, that means generally super heavy weapons like this. Like, oh yeah, there's somebody here that's invisible. I don't know who it is, but I fire my weapon that destroys this space, and let's see how you do. Oh, yeah, okay, yes, you're invisible, and you had a bunch of defensive modifiers as a result. You're still dead. If you're in hardcover already, you get a bonus. You know what I mean? Like, it's real easy to do. You just say, this gives you a +3 defensive bonus. You can also have something like, this is a mega, Gatling cannon. Okay, it's probably what it is, but anyway, yeah, it's a mega Gatling cannon, and it's particularly useful against infantry. Now you can fire at 2 different units, or you can just fire everything at 1 unit, and basically that unit was going to get dead, right? And you kill them. You go, here, I beat you by 5. It's reduction times 2x, right? And that's also part of the way that you balance it is you go, if you buy bigger units, there's nothing wrong with buying MSU. MSU has an advantage, and you can get more of the powerful dice, and then you can go, look, I've got a Land Raider with 5 las cannons on it. I don't remember which one that is, but I've got that. And I can fire that at you, or I have a Bane Blade, and I can fire all my anti-tank weapons at you, and then fire my anti-infantry weapons at those guys. And just you compare AP versus armor values. It's 4 versus a 3. Okay, the attacker has a -1, right? It would actually be a +1. See what I'm saying? Because of the way the modifiers work. Because you're aiming to get less, right? You want to get under the roll of the opponent, and that's how you make this work. Now you could do it the other way, okay, and make 1 go faster and 6 be bad, and that helps with people's math. But then they go, wait, 6 is slower and 1 is fast. And it's like, yeah, this is probably better this way, right? So you go 6 is fast, 5 is fast but has less of a penalty. 4 and 3 are balanced. 2 and 1 are slow, right? But they are the most capable. And now you can abuse it a little bit, and it's intended that you can, oh, that 2, he can still go 4 inches. He's still, like this guy's gonna be like, okay, I'm still gonna go 4 inches, and I'm gonna zap you. I'm gonna make sure I'm in range. So I'm gonna take this guy and I'm gonna super speed over here, and I'm gonna wait, and wherever you go, you're not gonna be able to assault me. And then I'm gonna go, okay, I'm gonna take this guy on my next turn with a 4, and I'm gonna move all 4. I'm gonna move all 4, and then I'm gonna shoot you. At point blank range with my multi-melta. And so because I'm within that 6, I get +3 to my attack, right? See what I'm saying? So you can make all of those special rules work. You don't need extra fucking dice. You want to keep it as simple as possible, and you go, oh yeah, so my next turn I've got my 2. I make sure that I'm in range, and I let you have it. And all I have to do is roll a set of dice. Uh-oh, that's not very good, right? And then the other guy would roll his. And yeah. So that would be a 14, right? And let's say he's got a void shield, +2 defense. He just has a +2. Okay. The AP value doesn't matter, because you don't want to have to keep track of anything. You just want to go, no, this is my defense. It's strong. And you go, if you get reduced, guess what happens to your void shield? Gone. You lose that bonus. Okay. And the next time somebody shoots at you, you don't have that bonus anymore. And then of course with this guy, he's rolled an 8. Okay. So this is a 15. This would be an 8, right? If that's what this guy rolled. That would be bad. You see what I'm saying? So since he's the attacker this time, he would say, "Oh, my armor is stronger than your gun." So you would have to consider oh, if it's more than 3 points, if the armor is more than 3 points stronger than the strength of your weapon, you get an extra +1, right? To reflect the heavier armor. And it's like, yeah, but I have a melta weapon in my attack. I've got my typhoon, so that's an extra +1 because I'm firing 3 anti-tank weapons at you, right? Or 2 anti-tank weapons. So I get an extra 1 or 2 points. Whatever, is balanced. You go, I get an extra 1, and then because I'm in melta range, short range of the melta weapon, I get +2 more. And that's how you can account for all those modifiers. Account for everything that this thing has. And it's probably not going to blow it up, but with a roll like that, oh, that's pretty bad. But that's why you have these maximum results. A lot of people just go, I need a table where you just it's just, oh, you're just dead, and that would be fine. Okay, except in a game like 40K, it's better to just limit the damage that you do. Okay, this is part of the problem that Games Workshop has, is you have the same shitty ass vehicles that can take hits from these big stupid things. You have flyers coming in that are just like, I'm a super death machine. Like, oh god, why did you have that? You have flying monster creatures that come in and then they're like, I'm going to land, and I'm a gargantuan creature, and I'm going to sit over here and I'm going to shoot you to death. They're like, holy crap! There's, it's that apocalypse shit. They never figured out how to add to the game. They've just Games Workshop's kind of clueless. They don't know what they're doing. So does that mean I don't want to be able to play with big GoBots? Sure, I'll play with big GoBots, but I don't want to play a game that's unfair, right? And if you just go, this has in general against most things, because it's got that front armor 14, side armor 14. It's quite strong, right? Not the strength, but like its defense is quite strong. But you could get higher defenses, and it wouldn't break the fucking game. You just go, it's more than 3, you get +1. It's more than 5, you get +2 to your defense. It's more than, like triple, you get +4. So a bolter firing against 14 would be more like the end. It would be anti-infantry, so it's the wrong type. So it's not like I'm going to pen you. It's like, no. So the bolters, who would, in theory, not really hurt it because it's more than triple, and you would just go, oh, I get +4, right? So the missile itself, let's say the whole squad decided to fire at it. Well, it's more than triple. You could just say, it's +4. I already have +2. It's +6. It's very unlikely you're gonna do anything with that. Now, that doesn't mean you don't want to have luck. You want some kind of luck, because luck makes for fun games. It's when you have really extreme unlucky things. So you go, the strength of your weapon has to be able to beat my armor to do anything other than just make me have a morale check. Even if you beat me by 10, by some miracle of the dice, by some crazy thing, your weapon has to actually be capable of damaging me. Oh, it's an anti-infantry gun, and you're firing at the heaviest armor in the game. Okay, you can make my crew unhappy, and that's it. That's all you can do. Is you can force them to button up. It's just like, sorry, you're simply incapable of destroying me, even if the dice say, hey man, you got a bullshit result. It's like, nope, you did not actually get a bullshit result. You got a bullshit result in that you rolled way better than I did. I rolled really bad, and you annoyed my crew. When I'm shooting at somebody in range band 4, I don't have those. I've been blinded from seeing that because you shot me, and I can't shoot somebody in that range band. Or I have if it's say you have 4 range bands away, it's a -1 to actually hit anything in that range band if it's 4 or more away, right? That's what you do, is like, okay, this is my modifiers. So that something that's fucking, that this one guy that costs as much as this shit is gonna be like, well, even though I have only a 3, my offense and my defense are both +10. And that's where you go, oh, I need that, right? Because that gives you a +2. You have a couple of those, right? Then you go, oh, well, I'm firing weapons that can beat your armor, right? So I could beat your armor. I'm firing multiple weapons that can beat your armor, so I get a +1 for being able to beat your armor. I'm firing multiple weapons, so not only that, but oh yeah, I get another +1 because I'm firing multiple weapons. For every one of them I'm firing, I get another one. Oh, they can, so when you're firing, say, 10 crack missiles out of a crack missile battery, okay, and you fire them at infantry. You go, you know what? I'm firing basically what is a super heavy anti-infantry weapon at you, and you're armored, but I beat your armor value, so you don't get the defense bonus of your armor. Where like a vehicle like this, you're not gonna you can't effectively negate his armor, right? There's not stuff in the game that's gonna make it go, I can negate that. It's like, no, you're not really likely to negate it. Now there might be some things that can, like another one. But like I said, stomping wouldn't work. And it can stomp on things like Carnifexes. Now Carnifex would come in and hit it, and it could fuck it up and be like, bam, ripped off a weapon. Yeah, and then he stomps on you and you're dead. Or very likely to be dead because he's going to beat your defenses because you don't have them. Same thing with the Dreadnought running in with a fucking power fist. Be like, run! I immobilize you. Okay, I can't stomp you anymore because I'm immobilized. So I smash you with my gun. I just do my regular melee attack, and that still blows you up because, oh yeah, even though the tabletop is also an abstraction, the size is an abstraction, right? And that abstraction means you're puny god, and smash. Even a crippled thing that's the size of a large office building landing on your Yugo, your Geo Metro car, even if it's an attack car with 5 clown grots in it, it doesn't matter. It's gonna die because it's gonna smash it, and you're just not in the same class because you have +2 on your offense and defense. He's got +10 still. Oh, he lost his void shield. Okay, he's +8 on his defense. He's still +10 on his offense. You see what I'm saying? And that's how you can make these particular, the dice like this work for you. And these are also ways where you go, okay, this shot, that shot. You just throw them in the corner. This move this turn, right? And it's over here. Sorry, it's over there. And it's shot. And those guys all moved up. They went through 12. And that's done. See what I'm saying? These guys, they move up 3. All right, so let's get rid of that. He moves up, he shoots. These guys go 4. I should probably get rid of that. So they go 4. There we go. They move up and they open fire. They shoot them. Okay. There's no reason not to. Like, okay, I got nothing else to shoot at. So your pop guns are ineffective. Okay. They're not useless, right? It's like, well, I stunned them. Like, okay, you shook the crew up. But you can say, I shot you with a whole bunch of anti-infantry fire. Sure, that's probably not going to do anything. You probably just don't have the firepower to do it. But what if you combine your fire and you add all of your anti-infantry or your anti-tank into that? And it's like, oh, well, there's a tactical with a launcher and a launcher, right? 2 missiles. Uh-oh, 2 missile launchers. And then you can do things like the tacticals are allowed to do it, and it's okay because, yes, they have a lot of anti-infantry firepower, but there's still a 4, right? So they would go, I'm firing more than one weapon, right? I can not pin your armor with that. And let's say they had tank hunters. Okay, I can. So I get +2. I can pin your armor. I'm firing more than one weapon at you. I get another +1, right? I have all the anti-infantry firepower. That's getting counted. Okay. So I can hurt you with that entire unit firing everything at you. And if I have a bunch of them, then they can all hurt you. It doesn't mean that they're great against you, because they're not. But it doesn't mean they're completely ineffective or that they can absorb all this damage, which is why they have all these fucking big templates and the ability to just wipe infantry out, is because you can stick a couple guys like that in and fire at this. Well, infantry are hard to get rid of. You can bombard the shit out of them. You can fire at them directly. If they're dug in someplace, they're hard to get out like ticks. You're not going to get them out. That's just not going to happen. And a lot of games misrepresent how infantry are. They're like, oh, they're just chaff, and it's like, okay, what are you fucking in the 15th century? Is this the Civil War where they just, there's cannon with solid shot and canister, and some cavalry units have Springfields that are, actual carbines, and everybody else has bore rifles that, bore fed rifles with 54 caliber. I think it was 54 caliber. It might have been 52, but I think it was 54 caliber mini balls. That they hit you and they rip your fucking arm off. Break your. They hit you and they basically break your arm and you die from an infection, or they take your arm off because they don't have any way to fix it because your whole arm is, you got a fucking half-inch hole in you. Literally, it's bad. So the game, the warfare is not like that anymore, and they should stop pretending like it is. So this also lets you have movement, okay? And the reason you want to have movement, really very simple. You want people to run away. You want them to be scared. So let's say you have this one move up a little bit, and it gets shot up and is scared. Okay. All right, they're frightened. They back up the maximum distance that they moved. Okay, so this turn they move 2 inches. They back up 2 inches. All right, this squad gets shot up, and those guys die. All right, what's left of the squad falls back 4 inches. Right, when they fail the morale check. Now, let's say they had to take 2 morale checks. Okay, and or 3 morale checks at -2, and they suffered a reduction because, oh yeah, they fucking Titan unloaded on them. How would that work? Okay, well, they failed 2 morale checks. They had a reduction. All right, so that's bad. They'd fall back another 4 inches, right? I don't know if that's on the board edge or not. I'm not going to pull out the tape measure. I'm sure there's one here somewhere to go. I want to measure, but they would fall back again. Okay, so they go, oh dear, I fall back again. These guys are all dead, right? Now they're broken, and they could have somebody help them rally, and it's how you build your system. Well, he's not broken. He's nearby. Okay, well, we can use his leadership. He joins that squad. They're broken. And a leadership 10 check. They rally. Or they're Space Marines. And they just rally. Right? Because he's not ever going to fucking he's not getting over here anytime soon. Because no matter what you do with this Titan, you're not going anywhere. You're like, I'm committed to just killing you. Because with a 3 and a 4, you're not moving fast at all. You're not going anywhere. You're not maneuvering. And before you go, well, there's no way that you could kill things. It's like, guys, you got to change the way that your terrain rules work. Really, you do. Terrain can't be like, well, I'm going to block line of sight. You go like this. These guys can see him, even if this is a forest, and then there's a rock wall, and then there's a building. They can see him, and you just take all the cover modifiers from any of your guys. You just go from the outside edge, and you go, can that guy see him? Can he see me? Okay. So that's your basically your bubble, right? Your line that you're going to draw will be from him, okay, and to him. So everybody can shoot him, everybody can see him. Great. And they happen to, and that beam that you're projecting from edge to edge to that to this target unit is going to do the same thing. Like if they were shooting at him, they would measure from the outside guy to the outside guy, and there's a forest in the way of this one guy. Okay, they get +1 for the forest, or +2 to their defense because you're firing through that. Don't worry about, can I see him? It's the 41st millennium. It's the 95th millennium. Whatever. It's 2016. Yes, we can see you. Yes, we know where you are. Yes, we will shoot you through the fucking building. You realize we have weapons that do that now. So hopefully 38,000 years in the future, we continue to have weapons that can actually kill you and see you and penetrate your defenses. Now let's say you're shooting here and there's a building. Okay, it's +2. There's a hill, and that's another +2. There's a forest. That's another +2. That's +6. Odds are you're not going to do anything, right? Odds are very good that you're not going to actually do anything. Your anti-infantry firepower is not even in range. You're like, I can't even shoot that guy. But the missiles, okay, I've got 2 missiles, I'll shoot, right? And that makes it so that as far as people are concerned, the anti-tank firepower from this unit, excuse me, is the same as say that, okay, at range. At close range, this gets better, right? But at close range against infantry, this doesn't do anything. It doesn't do anything better. It can zap right through. It can go out in the open and be like, dude, I can see your ass and I just blow the shit out of you. Except, let's say you do your best and you get you beat them by 5. It's like, wow, okay, you're not anti-infantry, okay, you killed 2 guys. See what I'm saying? Oh, you're not firing anti-tank. You're firing 1 anti-tank weapon and 2 missiles. Okay, and this is something else is people have blasts. Blasts worked when you were doing 25 guys, 30 guys, 40 guys. They don't work anymore. Okay. Blasts of weak strength. Oh, what's the weapon strength? You go, what's the weapon strength on it? Oh, it's an Imperial missile. It's a frag missile. It's strength 4. Okay. Against infantry, for every blast that you fire, in the anti-infantry firepower, you get +2. It's still the same shitty AP, so they got a +2 to their armor save against it. And you roll them separate, right? You have your anti-infantry firepower and your anti-tank firepower, and you want to roll them separate. Same thing against tanks. Okay. Now, by rolling them separate, does that actually mean you roll them separately? No. You have one roll. Here you go. That's my roll. Now, here's my modifiers. Okay. Now I'm just making up modifiers as I go because I'm tired. So I have the anti-tank weapon against infantry. I have a bonus of 3. Okay. And against the anti-infantry value, I have a bonus of 5 to that roll. Okay. Or sorry, it would be the other way around. 3 and 5. Right? So that would be the anti-infantry. That would be the anti-infantry. That would be the anti-tank. Because it's not designed to kill it. So the opponent would get a +2 to their roll. Right? So it would be worse to fire the anti-tank at that. Because in reality, you don't fire anti-tank rounds at fucking infantry. You fire anti-infantry rounds, right? Now, it's a melt the weapon. You don't have that option, okay? An autocannon is an actual, tank gun. The last cannon, you could, let's say it's a hammerhead, okay? Ooh, excuse me. You can fire a large blast, okay, and it's strength 8. Uh-oh. A large blast does even more damage against infantry, right? But a large blast would also give you a bonus against vehicles, right? So a high strength blast is of more value, but you don't need to do strength D. Strength D is dumb, right? It's just dumb. So you want to fire a strength D weapon at that. It's a large blast, so you get more bonus than a regular blast. Okay, a flamer template is a bonus against infantry. Okay. And you just go, nope, it's bonus against infantry. You get a +2 bonus against infantry when you're equipped with a flamer, that has a template. It doesn't matter what the template is, right? You just go, does it hit any of them? Okay, you get +2. You just put it down. You just go, boop, it hits them. You only need that template. You don't need blast templates anymore, right? You don't need large templates anymore. The flamer template, it's just measuring. You just go, no matter what I do, I measure anywhere from my base in the front here. Does it hit? Okay, it hits you. Ta-da! You can have an anti-tank one. You can use the War Machine, flamer template, and go. This is like a heat ray, a short-ranged heat ray, and it's not point blank, but I can drape it across 2 vehicles, and I get an attack on both of them. Right? Those are things that you can do. With the game, it's easy to do. Um, and then you still have you have your strength D blast, and a large blast is just gravy. You just go, yeah, I'm gonna shoot that. Um, a small blast should say give you a +1 when you fire it against vehicles because increase your chances that the blast is going to clip. The large blast would be +2, and that'd be against vehicles, right? Is basically you're firing if it's an anti-tank weapon, right? An anti-vehicle weapon with a small blast doesn't hit as well. A large blast, oh well, that might be +3, right? Because it's much bigger. So your odds of missing are smaller. I don't care about um the whole concept that GW uses because that's a lot of minutia that you just want to get rid of. Okay. You need to get rid of it so people can actually run large armies and have fun doing it, or they can run small armies and have fun doing it. All right. So anyway, a lot of things would have to be redone, but you could still plug in all the possible modifiers. You just put them into a chart, and you would know because it would go, this is what Space Marines do. When I fire against infantry and I have blast, okay, I get +2. Oh, they're vulnerable to blast because they're the stupid mycetic things from, or not the mycetic, the rippers from Tyranids. Oh, they're vulnerable to blast. Okay, well, what does that mean? Oh, that means you get another +1, right? So when you fire a blast, you get +1. You fire a large blast at them, you get +2. So a large blast would be +4 against infantry, and a regular blast would be +2. And if it's against vulnerable people, it would become for the regular blast it would be +3, and for the large blast, oh yeah, it would be +6. Oh, it could cause instant death because it's strength 10 or 8, or it's a vindicator shell coming at your face. Okay, then you get you know, you get another bonus. You get, oh, it causes instant death. Okay, +2, +3, +4, whatever is necessary to make it so that when you get hit with that in your face, it's a lethal shot. Oh, it's a strength 10 blast that's AP2 and negates your armor saves because you can still have an armor value and an armor save, which as you can see, there is no armor save on that guy, right? On the Reaver Titan, there's no armor save, okay? But you could put an armor save on him. You can modify things by attack values. The Dreadnought only has 2 attacks. Okay. Did you get stepped on by a Dreadnought? Alright, you're dead. Not, well, it doesn't have a Power Fist. No, the Power Fist is +4 against infantry. Oh, shit. Yeah, it's a lot of damage. Infantry don't want any part of it. It's +4 against anything, right? Power Fist, +4 against anything. And it doubles your strength. You go from strength 5 to strength 10. What's your toughness? But then you can have universal values like everything has a toughness value, everything has wounds, and that way you don't have the split of, let's say at 40k, of Eldar versus Imperial Dreadnoughts. Their things work differently. Okay, Now, I'm not saying I want to make everything bland and boring across the face of things. It's like, no, you want upgrades to fucking matter. And as you can see, it's like your variable is 2 to 12. That's it. Or you do a 1d10. It's 1 to 10. And that's it. And then you have your own assigned variable like, well, but you don't have a whole bunch. You don't roll for them. You just go, this is how many units I have. I have 2 through 6 today, or 1 through 5. That's all I can do because I got 5 units in my whole fucking army. So I can have one person that's fast, that's really fast, that's maximum speed in the game, and they're on a jet bike and they can go 24, right? They can go. That's how fast they can go. Is they can max out to 24. But I have to give them that ability to do that. But they also can't fight. But I don't want them to fight. I want them to just zoom and just go over in that corner and just wait, and they're going to do their thing the next turn. That's the way things happen now anyway. But now you actually have, here's your base dice, here's your base modifier. A 6 against 6 is a modifier of effectively 0. And then it's, well, in close combat, my sergeant has a power fist. Okay, I get +2 because he's a sergeant. He's not a fucking dreadnought. Oh yeah, well he's got this many attacks. Okay, you get an extra point for every attack with the fucking power fist. And it's like, okay, cool, I get that. And a power sword would do the same thing. And you can make anything work with something like this and just go, oh yeah, this totally will work. Because everything else that you would want to do, you just say it's a modifier. And is that a little boring? I guess it could be. Do you really want to play a game where you don't win because the other person rolled a d6 and they rolled a 2 and you rolled a 1, and they get to go first and they blow the shit out of your fucking army and you can't do anything because in Warhammer 40k, same as it was in fantasy before they killed it, he who goes first wins. It's just the way it is. Fantasy, you get to take your whole fucking army, move up, put your spells where you want, put your cannons where you want, have your infantry where you need to be, and the other guy is suddenly constrained because you can fucking charge him if he moves up. If he moves up the same as you do, you just charge him the next turn. Okay. That immediately limits your tactical options in a game designed around tactical movement. That's fucking stupid, right? That is fucking stupid. 40k, it's about shooting. Well, if you can block somebody's line of sight, okay, then there's no interaction at all. If you can't block somebody's line of sight, but you go, you know what, I see where your shooting unit is, okay. So even if you assign it a 1 on turn 1 and you can somehow hit me, I don't care. Because I have invisibility, I have stealth, I'm behind a hill and a building between me and that unit. Okay, I've got +14 to my defense. Now it's possible the other person could negate that. They could generate +12 in offensive capability against your unit, that's hiding in the back. Does that make it likely that they'll do that? No, it doesn't make it likely. It just means, wow, you stacked a whole bunch of shit on there and you still can't fucking, get beyond, in the end, what is effectively an even roll. But we both get to play at the same time. And then you just switch back units. You go, you know what? It's called defensive fire for a reason. I move this thing up and I know that it could kill me. All right. Let's say it's got 2 tank hunting twin linked las cannons on it, not what it currently has, and it's firing a blitzskill 5 because it's vulnerable, and it's got tank hunting. Oh dear. So they're strength 10, right? So that's bad because even the las cannons themselves, they can just beat my shit, and because whatever bullshit other army rule he's got, they could do extra damage to Titans. They're Titan hunters. Oh no. So they're tank hunting Titan hunters. Oh my god. It's just, so they fire their anti-vehicle weapons at me. However, as part of the give and take, once a turn in the open, like just straight up, you move and go, hold on. You completed your movement. I'm now going to fire at you. Okay. And you go, are you in range? Okay. It's not, were you in range? It's when you're done moving, are you in range of me? Right? You just go, are you in range of me? Because it's simpler than worrying about where you were. You know, like a bike unit going, phew, like, no, they got away before you could do anything. It's where they're at. Okay. Now, so you go, okay, he's in range. I'm going to shoot you. Okay, with my firepower. Um, Games Workshop calls it Overwatch. Um, Everyone else doesn't call it that. Uh, it's not really Overwatch. It's you're firing defensively at a moving target coming towards you and threatening you, and you put shots downrange at it. Now, does that mean that you still wouldn't be able to do defensive fire against an assaulting unit? Nope. Nope, it does not mean that. Now, does that mean that shooting units or really any units in general get to dip twice into the barrel of fun and shoot at you twice once as you move towards them, and then once as you assault them, with like a final defensive fire? Um, well, yes, that means that they get to do that. But the game would be balanced around the fact that people are going to be taking morale checks. So he moved up 3 and he shot. He didn't do any damage. I shot at him as he moved up and I forced a morale check on a vehicle. Okay, he goes back. Oh, look, now remember we have to change the ranges. So his effective range is right here, right? He has to actually move up his 4 inches to be able to get into range, or his 3 inches or whatever, just to get into range. I shoot him, he falls back immediately because he failed a morale check. Oh, the enemy fire is a little too intense. I'm not gonna run off the board, right? I'm just gonna fall back. But if you do run off the board, what happens if you run off the board? What if you're broken when you run off the board? Okay, like what happens to you? Um, there's a way to deal with that, where you can make it so that the game is not stupid. In you shoot the entire enemy army, and they fall back, and they're off the table, and haha. Okay, so let's say this squad falls off the table. Okay, hopefully they don't actually fall off the table. Whatever. I'll deselect. Okay, so they fall off the table. Fall off the table, you bastards. All right, they're not dead. Okay, they're not destroyed. If the game ends, they're considered destroyed. If the game ends at that point, they're considered destroyed because they're they're not on the table. Anything in reserve is off the table. They just go into immediate reserve. All right. Now it's different from regular reserves. Regular reserves, there's lots of different ways you can do reserves. But immediate reserve means your next turn, they come on the table. Okay. So if they fell off the table because they were shot by defensive fire, because you like basically prep fire, is what people call it. Um, I'm prepared to fire at you, and if you fucking move, I know where you are. I see the movement. I shoot at the movement. Okay. Now, it might be behind a building or through the windows of a building after I fired upwards out of a tree. Whatever. It doesn't matter. Okay. Advanced weapons, remember? So you manage to get a morale check on a unit and they break. All right. They break enough times or whatever that they fall back out of range. That's an effective tactic. Or you make them fall off the table. They don't just die. Okay. Whether game companies want to admit it or not, that's fucking stupid, and they don't know how to handle maneuver, probably because none of them have actually gone to a war college, done any war simulations, or possibly achieved higher education status. I don't fucking know. Um, but the guys would fall off and be an immediate reserve. Your next turn. So if it's your turn now and you move up and you get shot, like you're just standing there, he can't shoot at you. He can't shoot at you. It's only when you move. Okay. And only when you're done moving, if you're in range, can he shoot at you. If that means, or at the start, like at the start or end of your movement, when you move, if you're in range of the opponent's guns, you can shoot them. When they're moving in between, I don't want people to stop and go, I'm going to measure that. It's a fallacy, but you have to give it up so that you have a better playing game. Okay, you have to believe me. You just have to give it up. Because there's not grids on this thing to go, well, it was in this grid and I can shoot that entire grid. There's no grids. Okay. Just no. So you don't want people doing shit like I'm declaring I'm moving from here to here, right? Same guy moving from here to here, even though that has a plasma, that's a flamer. Damn you, game. Um, I'm moving this way, right? You don't want somebody to go, well, I'm over here and I can see and shoot you best right here. No, it's not that that wouldn't be fair. It's just it slows down the game, okay? And we're trying to speed gameplay up. So, yep, I'm flipping the whole thing. I'm flipping them, and I don't know why I did that, but whatever. You bastard. All right, so start of your movement, you try and back away. They shoot you. They see you moving. You just go, I can see you moving. Hold on, I'm shooting you. When you're done moving, you just go, I'll just measure. Oh, I can see you. Okay, I need to shoot you. Okay, it's before you as the attacker get to shoot. Okay, that's what that is. You get to do it once, right? For any unit, you get to go, I'm shooting there. So your whole army, if that guy's moving, you can go, I'm shooting, except because you're going to do an impulses, you can only have one shot at your unit as it moves. So the other guy can shoot you once. Then you go, oh, he shot. He can't shoot me again unless I assault him. Okay, so like here, these guys are in range the entire time. You know, just like, oh, they're in range. They come over here and like they weren't in range over here, let's say. They zoom up, they're in range. He shoots them. And he's terrible at it. Okay. Then they assault. Okay. They get their final, defensive fire. All right. It's what Games Workshop calls Overwatch. It's defensive fire. It's you're throwing hand grenades. Um, you're firing everything at full auto. You're you're doing everything you can to stop them from assaulting you. Okay. Now let's say you succeed at causing a morale check. Okay. You reduce one guy and you cause a morale check. Okay. Cool. Um, they just fall back to where they are, right? Excuse me. Um, that makes it so that you're able to have people try to get across the table at you, and you don't get to just shoot your whole fucking army at them. You have to go, this guy over here is going to shoot this way and shoot that unit. They haven't shot yet. They're going to shoot them. Okay, now you can't be tied up in close combat. So if you're in CQB, you are not going to be fucking shooting out of CQB at somebody else unless you're like one of these fucking things. And you have a special rule that says, unless I'm engaged in close combat with somebody my size, I don't care. Right? So like a tank could be engaged in CQB, and if they want to, they can fire their anti-tank weapons at any other target. But any anti-infantry weapons they have, and this is part of the rest of it that you have to think about is anti-infantry and anti-tank weapons. Like people would always be able to split fire, right? And say I'm shooting two different targets. That doesn't mean that in defensive fire, I get to go, I'm firing my anti-tank weapon at your tank and my anti-infantry fire at this infantry unit that moving forward. And it's like, no, you get one of those two shots. Your machine gunners can fire over here, or your anti-tank gunners, with their artillery piece can shoot over here. And that's it. Like, you can choose one or the other as they move. You go, I'm going to shoot that now. Right. And that would just require a simple token. And it would just be, it's placed down. I don't even know if I have any, but let's see. Cards, tickers. No, probably not. Maybe. I know that they exist elsewhere, but let's just look here. Okay, so we'll say a reversey chip. Um, Maybe when I flip it. Ah, sweet. Okay. So this makes it easy, right? So I haven't shot. I don't have a token. I did my range fire, and I've fired, right? If I've defensive fired, right, it would be like this. But once you do your defensive fire, you can't shoot anybody else anyway. Even if you shot this unit away, you could not shoot someone over there. Sorry, you're busy. Somebody just threw grenades into the room you're at. You're not shooting somebody running across the field 2 houses down. Okay. So this will always work. You just go, oh, I shot them. Okay, I get a token. These guys assault and I shoot them. I have that flipped over. I can't do any other shooting. And this is all on your turn. Okay. You decide to move up, I shoot you. You decide to assault me, I shoot you again. Right? It's a big dissuader. But nobody else is going to be shooting you. Right? And if that unit keeps coming, yeah, that sucks. That's why you have fire support. Now, how would you have something where it's like, oh, I can't beat the armor on that. I can only I can still damage it because it's an anti-tank weapon. Like in 40k, an autocannon doesn't hurt these, but in reality, an anti-tank weapon would probably still hurt it, right? You go, no, it would still hurt it. Okay, so you form up a fire group, and you go, here's my bike librarian, and he's here. Okay, he's here with these guys. And let's pretend they're tacticals. Okay, and there's 4 missiles between them. And there's 2 missile launchers here, 2 missile launchers here. He basically makes this into a fire group, and you do it with any leader that's not a squad leader. Okay, an actual leader guy that you buy. And so in my idea, you'd want to have more leaders because leaders would let's say this leader's here on the table. Okay, and those guys, these cowards, they're running because a titan's shooting at them. Yeah, big babies. So they would have their morale check. You can do one of two things. You can immediately join that unit, okay, but you have to, but you then would be able to test on his leadership, but he has to test first. If he fails, okay, he just goes back with them. He's like, oh shit, that actually was a lot of firepower. We should leave, and nothing happens. But before they would run away, you can go, you know what? I don't want to test on the leadership of 7 guys because the sergeant died up here. Let's just figure out, how do we do this? Oh, we'll just join immediately, right? In characters, there was an old rule way back in the day that people would abuse the shit out of, but basically a librarian or a leader, okay, this guy's a librarian, but we'll just say a leader, okay, not a squad leader, but a regular leader, is just one guy, okay. He's got a psychic power that he uses, which gives you a bonus to your defense or offense. Okay, that's what his main contribution is. Oh, he also has a weapon, and it's a force weapon. Okay, you know what force weapons do? So they have bonuses against big things, right? He can still jam it in this thing's ass and blow it up. Okay, because the rules are designed to allow you to do that. Now, the multi-shot here with bonus, before I forget, the multi-shot bonus from the tactical squad fire would be, well, you're not just firing one weapon, you're actually firing 2 weapons. Okay, so he just has to say this is a firing group, and they're all gonna, he's gonna basically direct their fire and say, I want everyone in this group to fire at that target, and then you would get +3 to your attack roll. The same thing with vehicles, right? You'd have vehicles, and you'd go, I need to direct your fire, and you could have them join those. Now, you would go, well, then what kind of unit is it? And it's like, well, it's basically the leaders are still important, and they're very important in a game based more on shooting people up and forcing morale checks, because Soldiers don't stand and die. Fanatics stand and die. Okay. With soldiers, when they take too much fire, they bug out. They go, okay, we're leaving. Tank crews do it. Airplane crews do it. There's too much flak. We're out of here. You know, I mean, we're just drop the fucking bomb load into the fucking sea. We're going. We're out of here. Um, that's not taken into consideration in most modern games, right? That you play on as miniatures. Um, so you don't worry about their stats unless they're heroes. Okay, that's the way that I would look at it. They're heroes. Oh, they're an actual unit. You know, like that guy's a fucking hero. That dude, you upgraded him. He's a hero. Now, a regular guy, he still has stats. Okay, but he's not a unit. So he's just running around by himself. You can't do anything to him because it's just one guy. Now, that doesn't mean if you assault one guy who's not a hero, so he doesn't have his own combat stats, right? He just gives you bonuses, right? So there's a difference. A hero is effectively a unit with these stats, and you can do what you want to it. And it can also join other teams. It can, whatever you needed to do. But the regular heroes, or sorry, the regular commanders, like it would still be like he's a librarian. He's just not a hero librarian, so he's not a unit. Okay. They can join units. They can stand there and wave the flag at people and be like, "Don't run away, you cowards!" And they maybe they won't. But all they would add is, well, that guy's got a force weapon. He adds +2 into close combat, and he has his leadership, and that's all he does. He doesn't do anything else. If the unit he's with is destroyed, okay, you got him. It, you might want to add a mechanic where you go, I'm sorry, I rolled a 4+. I don't lose that, right? I don't lose that guy. That guy's still there, unless you killed him in close combat. Then he's dead. He gets taken out with the squad he was with. Not if they broke. If they broke, he just runs away. And that way your leaders don't die, right? You still have leaders. You can still fight on because leaders, fanatics stand and die, and soldiers run away when they need to. Okay, leaders know. Most of them are not custers. Okay, they don't do stuff that most people today would consider to be stupid as a soldier. Okay, so you have your morale check. You don't want to take 2 morale checks, so you don't want that unit to run away. You don't want to take 2 morale checks at -1 because you're afraid they're going to fail. Okay, so you have him join, right? And he takes his leadership test. It's just a straight up leadership test. If he passes, they can use his leadership. Okay, so it becomes 2 leadership 9 tests because it's -1, as opposed to there's no sergeant, so it'd be two leadership tests at 7, which would be 6. Okay, you might pass the 2 9s. Now you're not going to have more than 1 or 2 of the leadership 10 guys on the table. You'll probably have a couple of 9s, 1 10, a couple 8s, and a 7. Like that would be your leadership pool. Why would you want a 7? Well, because what if they have rules where they go, I'm not going to lose my leadership modifier is a 0, right? Where this guy might be, it says save +3, but let's say it's leadership 10 and he's a +2. Okay, that means on a morale check, if you have a morale check at -2, well, his leadership is +2. So it negates the modifier, but his base leadership is always a 10, right? So if he has a test, he still only tests on a 10. But he can negate negative modifiers because, man, he is inspiring. See what I'm saying? So you can have things like an effective 12, so you can always have a 10 against, a -2 test. And it would take like a -3 or something to actually make him take something below a 10, right? Because he's basically the colonel, right? The colonel of who's leading your battalion is at the front, and that's not usual. That's unusual. But if he's there, he's going to inspire the shit out of the men, right? So that's something that you would see, and you won't see that elsewhere, right? You won't see that like, oh, well, he's with Company B, he's with Bravo Company, and he's up leading the charge, and it's like, wow, your men are inspired. Of course, you would have bad things happen to your company if the colonel died, right? So somebody sweeps in with an assault unit, and they take out his squad and kill him or capture him, right? Oh, well, that's victory points, or that's an objective point for you, whatever, however you have your scenarios set up. So that's what you would do to really improve the way 40K works. Is you just say, you know what, even if I fall back, I don't lose this. I don't lose my 300 point guy. I don't lose this squad. My last troop, like, whoo, I don't lose it. They just go into immediate reserve. Okay. In immediate reserve means they can move on from the table edge straight away. And they can even teleport. They can go all the way over here. Right? You don't have to keep track. You just go, no. They can come in on the deployment zone. Ooh, excuse me. Um, in any case, the squad doesn't die, right? So let's say they fail and they end up over here in reserve. Well, sort of in reserve. So they're in immediate reserve, except for that guy who apparently is not going to be there. Okay, so they're in immediate reserve, and it was your turn 3. They can't re-enter right away. You could still have other reserves coming on. During the rest of your turn, you could have regular reserves coming on of squads that were in reserve. But these guys would not be dead. Okay, unless the game ended on like, oh well, time's up. Okay, they're dead. He's not captured, right? It just they're considered destroyed. So, or they're just not considered part of the army. I mean, there's all different ways that you could track that and take care of it. But this would be gone, right? They're not part of your force org anymore. You can't test on his leadership for any morale checks for your company because you're getting shot to pieces or assaulted to death or whatever because he's not on the board, right? But that doesn't mean they've left the battlefield, right? They would rally and they'd come back, right? That's all you do is you just go, all right, to be able to re-enter, I just have to pass morale check, right? And then they're good. They're good. They immediately re-enter the tabletop. That's all you have to do to allow that. Now, that doesn't mean you can run off the table, right? Unless you have a rule for that. Now, what about like vehicles? Let's say this tries to, it moves up its 1 inch, right? And this is one of the things that's in the back, and I wanted to really hammer that guy. Okay, and oops. Okay, let's put that back there. There you go. I flipped the wrong thing. Yeah. And I don't know where the last guy went. I don't see him. It doesn't matter. I'm sure he's somewhere. So he's got his regular shooting, and he's literally like on the board edge, right? And he goes and moves up 1 inch. Okay, I shoot the shit out of him, and I force this vehicle to take 2 morale checks. There's a difference when an enemy vehicle firing anti-tank weapons at you, or anyone really firing anti-tank weapons at you. If they make you take morale checks, you run away. Like your vehicle goes up 1 inch. Uh-oh, I'm off the table, and they're in immediate reserve, right? And then his token would be flipped over, and all he could do was fire defensive fire against one of these 2 assault units coming in. He couldn't shoot anything else anymore. This unit would be in reserve, would be in immediate reserve, as long as it passed morale check. That's what you'd have to do. Once that happened, that would be the end of it, right? They immediately enter. Didn't pass their morale check, they just stay in immediate reserve. Okay. Or you could say, you know what, they're now in regular reserve, and I can bring them on the next turn if I roll a reserve roll. That could be an option too. There's all kinds of different ways you can handle things. Oh, um. Anyway, the so I think the concept is sound, but I'd love to hear what people think. I'm I'm not looking forward to playing Games Workshop's 8th edition of Kill 40K off and then release new models and see what happens to their company then when people can't run Space Marine armies anymore that have 50 guys in it and 10 tanks or a bunch of speeders or whatever. When people can't run what they've been running and they can only run stupid shit like this, but it's a beautiful model and it's only $350 and you can have 4 of them now. The AOS crap. I don't want to see that. Um, so anyway, so there's all kinds of things that you can do to streamline the game and make it a movement and morale game again. Um, you still want to kill stuff, like if he shoots that, odds are it's going to die the minute it moves. So you move it last because what you're trying to do is say, well, I'm going to move my infantry. Do you want to shoot me? And then they go no, and you go, okay, well the infantry are going to shoot you, and that's the goal that you have is to give players tactical options again of, well, if you don't shoot me, I'm going to be in melter range on your big guy. Ah, shit, I better shoot him. You know, and it lets you maneuver, and you don't have to worry about bad terrain, bad TOs putting down stupid ass terrain in your way, bad boards, because everybody's played on like the pyramid board, where the middle of the board is 12 inches high, and you deploy over here, and they deploy over there, and you have a shooting army and they have an assault army. We'll go game, because they're going to just fucking run up the pyramid and wait, and then they're going to jump down and kill you. That's stupid, and that's not fun. You just go, no, I can shoot you, but it's a hill. So everything I fire is -2. And you have to think, it's an abstraction, guys. That's what it is. It's all an abstraction anyway. Embrace it in all aspects of the rules, and then you won't feel so bad when you get your ass stomped because it's like, well, he had a much better army than I did because I built my army somehow stupidly. But you can have a battle force army and say, you know what, it doesn't matter. I poo-poo battle force armies where they're like, you can have a chaplain and 5 assault marines and 5 terminators and a predator and a dreadnought. Oh, and a rhino. And normally you'd be like, well, that's stupid. But in a game like this, it wouldn't be. You just be like, you want to shoot me with whatever you got? You want to blow my face off with this? Okay, but even though you can fire multiple things at once, so can all of my guys. You know, and that's something that Games Workshop and Privateer Press, they're just like, oh, you should just fire everything at one thing until it's gone. And it's like, yes, but what if I've got 8 guys carrying bolters? Oh, okay, well, don't buy those models anymore. Just buy this big thing. Buy one big model or our big new deluxe multiple weapon guys that can fire at different targets once a game, and light all your shit up and just do that instead. But how about we just allow everyone to just fire intelligently and say anti-tank weapons can be fired at infantry if you want to, and their effectiveness is pretty bad. Basically, even if you beat them by, say, 3 or 4, those are just morale checks. But if it's the wrong weapon type, it doesn't do anything. They just go, well, yep, they fired a fucking bazooka at us, and it didn't do anything to us. It hit, and it hit the earth, and congratulations. You can't snipe me with a fucking bazooka. Okay. And then you roll really strong, and it's like, well, Bill stood up and said, I dare you, and, showed you his skirt. And you blew up Bill with your fucking rocket launcher. Congratulations. You killed one guy. That's how one guy dies. Is like, well, I fired my anti-vehicle weapon at you. So, because I really want you dead. So I get you half dead, and then I get one extra guy dead. Half dead with the infantry weapon, and then one dead here. You have a lot of firepower. Don't worry. It would be taken into account. I've got 10 shots from this, and I've only got 2 shots from that. It's like, right, so you're firing everything at one target. The 10 shots give you a bonus to your rolls, and a blast would give you more bonus, and the 2 anti-tank shots would just be, it's you roll once, and you just apply and you go, well, this beats your armor by so much. I just disintegrate two guys, right? This anti-tank weapon is so powerful. Oh my god. I disintegrate that guy and that guy. And this comes in and does its own thing. But it's on the same roll. See what I'm saying? The combat roll is still, I got a 5. My base is it should be a 3. Um, and I shoot the shit out of this unit, and then I zap two guys over here, right, with the massive anti-tank weapon, because oh yeah, it's a beam of death 50 meters across, because it's abstracted as it's a fucking 5-story building. So he used an at range flamethrower on your position, but it was a las cannon hit, and it disintegrated Bill and Ted. They got annihilated. And then this gun is just so many shots, right? So you get bonuses for having firepower of that magnitude. In any case, um, I think I've explained everything. If you have questions, I don't think I'm going to be around tomorrow. I don't know if I'm going to blog or not. So anyway, like I said, I'll make up for it on Monday if I don't. In any case, that's it. I'm going to go pop this on, and this might actually show up. This will probably show up Sunday because it's pretty late. In any case, if you have questions, please feel free to go to the blog and post a question or a comment. I'd appreciate it. Thanks. Bye bye.